Hey, what is up? This is Press X to Start Podcast, Season 6, Episode 5. Press X to Start Podcast is an audio and video podcast seeking to transform the video game media landscape through an underserved and protected point of view. Happy Black History Month. I am your host, DJ, a.k.a. Sexy Bad Choices, a.k.a. 4 Million Strong, a.k.a. Do you know, everyone, who Sean Alexander Allen is?
No.
I'll tell you who he is. He's an indie game developer. He's an artist and a writer from New York City. Previously, he worked on AAA games for almost 5 years. His first game shipped over 2 million copies. He is currently in a new studio he created. Well, new, not of this recording, but new in terms of in the general scheme of space time, called New Challenger. He published Tenacity in Beatdown City. Have you ever heard about that game? This came out a couple years ago.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
So, it's a game that is subversive of the fighting and RPG genres, as it is of gentrification, not gentrification, nationalism, and racial stereotyping.
Gentrification.
Yeah, I was actually planning on downloading this game and playing it, but it looked really cool. So I would. No, I don't know. Maybe not. You know, he might get my soul. But yeah, it's definitely worth picking up. It's definitely worth trying it out, and I recommend that you do it because if this was any point in time where we don't have games playing now and games coming up that are really big, I would probably be on this and be able to give some kind of impressions on it. But it's yeah, not right now. Who else is here?
All right. I am your heavyweight champion from Wishnigwood, California, aka the janitor because we watch niggas, aka New Fade Who Dis.
Oh,
Marcus Ellison.
Oh, if you are a video listener, you can see it. But if you're an audio listener, you are truly missing out on something that is very, very crazy. My man Marcus has cut his hair off, so you
what
can
we're
see.
witnessing is Marcus cheating on his barber.
Look. All right. Look. I moved. There was no way. I don't got money. I don't got fly my barber out money right now. All right.
I'm sure you can do a video call with your barber and have him talk you through cutting your hair.
Rios understands.
You ain't gonna get a call back for weeks, nigga. I am Sean MF Ross.
What MF stand for?
I'm still King Boji. We whooping ass out here.
Also, Sean, what's in the red Solo cup, my boy?
Water. I don't actually like alcohol.
By water,
that's a king right there. You hear
vodka.
that?
No, dead ass. This is literally just water and ice.
Oh yeah, I know. I believe you.
Okay. Yeah. We believe you.
You two are the weirdest Jamaicans ever.
We are the coolest Jamaicans ever.
I'm Avery.
Nailed it. All right. Well, that is who we are. And before we get into the highlights of this episode, we have a special announcements. Special announcements? Jesus. Okay. A special announcement. Singular, not plural. We will be having Hashim Hathaway, aka Shimbo, on next week's podcast. If you slightly remember that name, then you are one of the great ones because that means you've been listening to our content for a long time. He was actually our first guest that we had on a few years back, and we are delighted to have him back on again now because he's very, very, very active on social media and he's been doing a lot of stuff. So we will be talking about the games that he's been playing, and we'll be talking about the state of the console wars because moves have been made, and we really haven't had a chance to really sit down and have a conversation about the current state of things. So that's going to be a great episode. And of course, Black History Month, and he's black, and we're black. So, blackness.
DJ, every month is Black History Month when your entire cast is black.
You goddamn right,
That's
King.
true. You are so right. You
goddamn right.
And now it is time to talk about the game we have all been playing, Sifu.
Okay. Right, teacher.
Who wants to? Okay, let's start with this. Who is the farthest in this game? There are 5 stages. There's a boss on each stage. You beat the boss. You jump to the next stage. So where's everyone at?
I'm
Marcus,
still
where
in
you at?
stage 2. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
State.
Avery, where you at?
I did a speed run on YouTube in 40 minutes. So now I'm on stage 2.
Stage 2. Avery, you say you're stage 2,
Yeah, I'm in stage 2.
and then Marcus.
Is the club stage 2?
Yes.
Yes.
Then yes, I'm in
Actually,
stage 2.
most of the world is on stage 2.
That says something
All right,
right there.
I'm on stage 3. I'm
Oh.
on stage 3. I fought the boss and I've lost against the boss. Okay, and as I said, there's 5 stages, so I'm essentially, I guess, halfway through the game. All right. Well, let's talk about how you guys are feeling about the game. We'll start with Avery first. How are you feeling about Sifu?
Sifu is one of those rare video game roller coaster of emotions I've gone on recently, in which I started that game, and the minute I got into that hallway, I was like, holy shit, this game fucking slaps. Then I got to stage 2, and I'm like, yo, I think I hate this game.
All right, Marcus. No, Sean, then Marcus.
Okay.
I don't feel particularly strongly about it, but I am enjoying it a lot.
Okay.
I'm hating on the people who scored it low. The game discourages button mashing, and I think that the people who scored the game low are button mashing and calling the game hard. They're not actually taking the time to learn the mechanics of the game or what have you. It's not ridiculously hard. It's just
I think it's
taxing.
ridiculous.
It's challenging.
I think it's ridiculously hard.
Okay. Marcus?
It is a game.
No, of all the games, this is one of them.
This is one of them. No, honestly, I think it's a game that I kind of like more in theory than I do in execution. I think that there is a lot about it that I really fuck with, from just kind of like the story and the idea of losing time by, it kind of reminds me of Hades in that way, where you keep restarting something, but unlike Hades, you could get worked many times in Hades, and the only thing that you'll lose is progression. Whereas in this, there is like an added stake of, oh, you're gonna lose points of your life.
Yeah.
You're gonna get them hands, and you're gonna age. Could you imagine getting hands ran on you so hard that you age?
My back hurt.
Jesus.
I'm
65.
Beat in high school and can't finish.
Now you got a
Why that guy
mortgage
looks
somehow.
old? He's got his ass.
Get out of
beat a
here,
lot
you
times.
predator.
This nigga got punched into a mortgage. My God. but like, I think it's a game that I'm kind of frustrated with, but I think it's mostly just because I'm so out of practice with that particular style of game. I think that if this game came out when I was like in high school and I was real heavy into like fighting games like Tekken and Guilty Gear and other stuff, I think that I would be breezing through this game because I had that muscle continually. Whereas now I'm so accustomed mostly to kind of like third person action adventure games and RPGs and stuff, that this is working me out because I'm just not as acclimated to rhythm based and kind of parry based combat, as opposed to just being able to dodge and maneuver that way,
having a more freer dodge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I am really enjoying Sifu. Sifu is a game that pushes back 100% all the time. And for me, it is, as Marcus says, it is so close to a fighter in that, like, you have to figure out how to predict some moves that are coming towards you. You gotta, sometimes you just get lucky and you're able to dodge out the way. You're able to parry an attack. You're able to just avoid something. And when those moments hit, the game really shines. And it's like, I feel like a motherfucking badass. And I just took down this whole room with a single sliver of health, and not one of y'all was able to touch me. And in those moments, like, Sifu is that game of the year. All the other moments, though, where you're just getting beat by bottles, getting hit in the back of the head with pipe, like, right?
I think
Like,
it's just a little bit too realistic for people in that everybody is dangerous.
yeah. So the reason why,
Realistic might be the wrong word, but
well, yeah. It's one of those games where it's not forgiving. Like, you have to get better at this game. Like, you
Because
have
Kung
to
Fu
spend
is
the
not
time.
forgiving.
Right? And for me, I was okay with that because, like, a lot of, like, the first games I played was fighting games. So my instincts when it comes to gaming is drenched in, like, fighters, and, like, all right, I have to figure out, like, can I parry this person? I should just kind of keep my distance, like, do some chip damage, keep it going, like, stuff like that. Like, that comes natural to me. And Sifu speaks to a lot of those kind of instincts. So I am, when you guys were talking about fighting the boss for level 2, Sean, not this Sean, but the other Sean.
so weird.
For me, say what?
I said it's so weird
Yeah, right.
in the game. Where's Sean? What?
Right? Yeah, like, for me, it was very much a thing of, like, okay, this guy has a bow staff, and he can only do a certain amount of he can only work in certain planes with the bow staff, because that's just how a bow staff works. So it was a lot of, like, keeping my distance, seeing what his combos are, reading those combos, and then going in, closing the distance, like, doing some damage, kind of backing up, and then realizing, like, oh, he just throws a lot of highs. So it's just like dodge, 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 hit, dodge, dodge, dodge. And, like, for a lot of the time playing the game, that was how I was approaching it. And, like, I wasn't really using any of the skills and abilities all that much, partially because I just didn't understand how it worked. Like, the directional throw, I just realized yesterday how to do it on command. Like, up until this time, I just didn't know how it worked. Like, I would press square and X, nothing would happen. I'm just like, all right, well, screw this move. Like, it's not going to help me. So I think I am excited to see this game get a sequel, and see for them to take some of the criticisms that a lot of people are throwing at it and making this game a better game. Because I think ultimately, when it comes to gameplay, I think the gameplay is really strong. They make some bad decisions in terms of button mapping for certain attacks, like the back forward triangle to do the sweep. That doing directional commands on an analog stick never felt good to me, and
Yeah,
this
because
game doesn't change that.
the choice that this game makes to operate like a fighter is, I understand why they did it, due to the platform that they're using, which is basically you're playing a martial arts movie.
Right.
But having that sort of thing when you're fighting multiple enemies is intuitive, because, like,
Yeah,
you
it's
can
not
use
intuitive, right.
fighting game mechanics when you're just one-on-one with somebody, because of course you're able to focus more on your button mapping because you're just fighting one person. But when
Right.
you're in a room full of people, unless you're a fighting game master, you're going to immediately just start thinking more about, how do I dodge, and you're not going to be
Yeah.
thinking of, okay, upright Hadouken. Like, you're
Yeah,
not
right.
going to
Yeah.
be
Like,
thinking to do any of that.
doing the forward triangle, which is like a hop forward and a kick. That's
Hmm.
really hard to do when you're on a 3D plane and you have to do, like, up forward twice. Like, you
And you're
end
trying
up,
to block and parry, and yeah.
yeah, and it's the decisions like that kind of sour my sour my time with the game, like, certain periods of time. Then I just kind of, like, pause and go play Gundam, and then come back and, like, do a little bit of training and then go back at it.
So you go
Um,
play a bad game, and then it reminds you the good things about Sifu, and then you come back and appreciate it. I understand. Makes sense. It's a good tactic.
You know what? I'm happy that you're bringing up Gundam into the conversation, Marcus,
No,
because I
no,
was just waiting.
no.
So
No.
here's a weird thing,
Let
right?
me start
Here's
talking
a weird
because
thing.
DJ's been talking for a bit now. He's been saying a lot of things, but no
Go ahead,
one
Avery.
hears
Go ahead,
the
Avery.
conversation. So yeah, I am bad at video games. I
You're
like
not bad at video
no
games.
no no
You're not bad at
no
video games,
no.
Avery.
Let me finish this before you start heaping false praise upon me. I am just persistent and I have a pretty good game sense. So it allows me to overcome what is just mechanical problems. Like I was playing, here's a tangent, I was playing Apex the other day with Marcus, and he was like, "Are you playing on mouse and keyboard? Your movement seems so different." And I'm like, "I don't think my movement's that different or interesting. I'm just using what my game sense is telling me to dictate how I should move here." But like if I went against anyone who's actually good at this game, they dismantle me 100%. But so what I'm trying to indicate with here with Sifu is that like it being this particular type of game is my exact type of kryptonite. A game that requires me to be mechanically perfect in order to progress it's painful for me. Like when I say I hate this game, I actually generally like it. I think the game's presentation, its world, its design, all of it slaps. Like going like I mean I've seen the club like 150 times. Like I've seen every room 150 times. Like I can tell you all the cool, minute details they put into every piece of design. I think is chef's kiss. But then the minute I'm in a room with 5 different people and someone from off screen hits me with a bottle, I just want to throw my controller through my $400 TV because it's so infuriating. And then
You're feeling like Chris Brown when he got that bottle thrown at him.
he deserved it. But that's like it's one like it's the game's pushback. It's like preventing me from really loving this because like I said that first like I was in our fucking our Discord just being like holy shit holy shit. This is and then it's me mauling for like 2.5 hours because
Right.
like when like a lot of the conversation about this game has been its difficulty, and certain people have talked about Souls games and everything like that. And I'll reiterate everything I always say about Souls games for the most part, outside of Sekiro, is that Souls games and RPGs they allow you to improve, like from a gameplay standpoint as well as mechanically. So like, sure, I got watched for this boss. I'm just go get a couple levels, maybe get a new weapon, try that. This is not that. I'm allowed to improve and grow. Sifu actively punishes
okay,
you.
wait. Just real quick. You said improve and grow. You mean grow in terms of like your stats?
Yeah.
So like
Like,
you come back with more health essentially.
yeah, like I will say this:
Okay.
in all my Souls games progress, I've never gone into a boss without being like 5 to 10 levels higher than I've ever supposed to be in, and that's just me naturally playing the game, not even me grinding. So it's like it's one of those things where like the thing that pisses me off the most about Sifu is not the pushback, but it's the lack of transparency in how all of its systems work, and then the lack of actual material growth in your character. In fact, to the fact where the game slightly punishes you at the same time rewarding you for dying over and over again. Like nothing infuriates me more than like every 10 years you grow and you get into a new age bracket, you do more damage. Awesome. You also get less health, which ultimately means you need to be more perfect going forward because enemies are going to be able to negate kill you much quicker, and that infuriates me. And then it's because it's a lot of its progression is it's held back behind what age you were when you went to get to the abilities. So it's like one of those things where like, what the fuck? So like, you mean I can't get this one thing that's actually marginally good for me because I aged out of 26 years old? That's kind of bullshit. And don't get me started on the way its skill trees and its upgrade system works. I have still not figured out how its upgrade system works. Sometimes I'll go into a mission and like I'll have everything from my last mission. So like here's an example I'm trying to explain before everyone talks. I did the first mission and I didn't know that there was a third jade statue in the area.
Okay. Yeah.
I was always leaving that area with only 2. I realized that there was a third, like just in plain sight, I'd just been missing. I got that, so I got all 3. I was under 20. I was like 22 at the time when I beat that stage. I moved on to stage 3. I'm not stage 2. Stage 2. I go into my menu to look at stage 2. I still have only 2. of the things I had.
And you're supposed to have 3.
I'm supposed to have 3. And then don't get me
So
started.
So wait, you got that 3rd Jade statue and then beat the boss and progress to the next stage?
Yes. And then
That's what's up.
I opened up in the second stage. I only had 2 with me. Like I don't know what to do. And then
That sounds like a glitch.
Oh wait. Did you beat that stage at a higher age than you previously beat
No,
it?
no.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been very transparent on how old I am when I'm in this game and how I'm beating it. Because the only saving grace I'll say about this game is what's going to be keeping me playing it going forward until Thursday when I drop it like a bad habit, is that it's infinitely cheesable. Infinitely cheesable. Like they have poorly designed the save system in this game. So it's easily cheesable.
I will say though that going from stage 2 to stage 3, like stage 2 is I'm interested to see what stage 4 and stage 5 are like, but like stage 2 is tough. Stage 3, not as bad because they give you weapons in like pretty much every room. And it is stage 3, I'm right now, stage 3 is probably my favorite gaming experience in the year. Like things are gonna have to top like just stage 3 because it is such a spectacle in terms of like the colors used, the things that you're in. Like it's great, it's awesome. But getting to the boss, it is one of those things where like if I could figure out how to cheese that lady, I will be cheesing that lady. Like I
With
think
consent.
yeah, absolutely with consent. I will ask her. Um, all the things that Avery is saying like are completely valid. Like I think for me, the stage 3 boss was my wall because it was very much so like, all right, I'm going to figure out her patterns. Okay, I'm going to try to dodge her patterns, and her patterns are very much like up, down, up, down, up, down. And for the life of me, I am terrible at dodging sweeps or avoiding sweeps. I always go down and then I just end up on the ground and I just look like an idiot. Like I just can't. And I don't know. And I brought a weapon in, and because of the type of level it is, if you drop the weapon, it is super hard to find the weapon. And it's so annoying. It's like again, like these are the things that
Just take one out of nature's pocket, DJ.
I wish. So like these are the things that like bother me and annoy me about this, and I really hope they like heed the feedback and just like make it a better experience overall, or even just release a patch because like we didn't talk about it, but they are going to be releasing an easy mode and I think some other
Did they
updates
say
for the
easy
game.
mode, or they're just gonna be looking at difficulty settings?
I mean they called it easy mode. I
Yeah,
don't
I
know if
believe
it's
I think there's an accessibility update, and then there is going to be maybe. I think in that parlance, there was something about an easier mode to going forward. But I know it was
yeah.
broken by someone who was talking about the game's lack of accessibility. Because like one of the minor things I have an issue with this game is that like it is really the readability of this game is just bad. Like a lot of moves are just impossible to read what the actual move is going to be. And like I'm someone
Yeah.
who's bad at games, I have bad reflexes. So like I'm just ignoring the fact that like the game like from a like control standpoint asks for you to do way too much, especially on way few too many buttons. But like at that same time, like what DJ's talking about with sweeps and everything, I never know when the fucking sweep is coming because I can't tell if he's going to punch me or is he going to high kick me or is he going to do a sweep because of my issue with the game readability. I think the game has a slowdown feature when you trigger focus, but to what I greatly dislike about that is like in most fights, you can only use it once you've already gotten your opponent stunned because the minute you open it in the middle of a combo to hit somebody, they're still operating at 0.99 speed. So you're just giving them a free hit.
They're like,
and
we
then,
don't do that here.
and then no,
You're
to
right.
finish it, and this is a very poorly designed thing where okay, it's multiple button presses to trigger your special move. It's here's the focus, then hit your directional stick, and then move it to something and then hit another button to trigger the move. I think that is poorly designed. It adds to the infuriation of me trying to get that one focus move off and me getting fucking ground pounded by this fat dude because he didn't get the memo that time was moving slower.
Right. Time moving slow for
Unfortunately,
you, not me.
and that thing is inconsistent to focus. Sometimes it does actually move slower, sometimes it doesn't. But I've just kind of counteracted that with remembering where the move is because you can instantly snap it off.
Yeah. I was going to say
Unfortunately,
the
it
same
does
thing.
not
Like,
slow down.
yeah, like again, it is so interesting to like play this game and just be like, oh, this is like Gundam. Like, oh, this feels like Gundam. Like for Gundam to switch weapons, you have to hold a button and that will take you into a separate menu and you press like either square, circle, triangle, or X, and that switches to the actual weapon. And it's very similar like that in Sifu. So when I figure like, okay, so the diagonal up is the eye gouge and the diagonal down is a trip, I do like what L2 diagonal down and my R1
Yeah,
is my thing. And like I do it like
quickly
instantaneously kind of
like a
thing. So
fighting game.
And then
yeah, so
my
I'm not like super like worried about like okay, like where it is. And
and
I'm
then
able to get it off pretty consistently.
and then my final thought, so we can wrap this up, is that like I have been on record in I never parry in games. Like parrying is something I never really do. Most games I play with
Mm,
a parry
mhm.
mechanic, I never really use it. Like even in Souls games, when like parry is like the most broken thing in the world, I never use it because there's no reason. Because most games I play with a parry mechanic also have a great dodge mechanic, and I don't think
Okay.
Sifu's
Yeah.
dodge mechanic is really good because we've already got to this conversation where we don't even know what the dodge is and what's the avoid and what's the block and what's the parry because that's fucking so dumb about this game.
I
Like
figured it out. Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
one of,
it's not properly labeled at all. And
it's
it's annoying.
so it's one of those things where like it's I have when I'm frustrated with this game and I'm not playing Apex to get my head off, I started playing Devil May Cry 3 again because like it brings me back to game like to make a point about parrying and dodging. That game doesn't have either of those except if you're playing Shield. No, it's not Shield Master. I think it's Shield Master style. Like Dante has a specific style in that game that allows him to block and parry. But everything else in the game, it's just using your raw mechanical skills and dodging, and that makes more sense to me than this game. And this is where the infuriation gets into it.
I will to give my final 2 cents. I will say that um Sifu, I look at Sifu as kind of a pseudo Dark Souls game where it requires you it wants you to play in a certain way. Like you're not free to play Dark Souls and then you can't button mash in Dark Souls, right?
Yes, you can.
You can you can button mash in Dark Souls and like survive.
DJ, I've told you, it's an RPG. Your stats determine how much damage you can do.
Yeah, no,
If
no,
I go into a boss fight and I'm doing 50 more damage than that boss is doing to me, you can 100% just tank every hit and just kill them like that.
so you don't have to worry about dodging or anything.
No, you don't. If you can deal more damage than they can deal from you, you can like there's specifically an armor in the game that allows you to just that ignores like stun damage. So you can't be stunned, you can't have your animations blocked. You can just wear this armor and just tank blows and just
Okay. That's interesting.
Go back and
Uh
finish Team Souls.
yeah, right. Like in my mind, I look at Sifu as like I guess how people describe Dark Souls in terms of like you have to be um intentional in terms of what you're doing. Like you have to read the enemy to know like or I guess like Sekiro, right? Because that you really have to be able to
yeah.
read your
Sifu,
opponent's
Sifu
yeah, okay.
cribs so much from Sekiro, it's not even funny, but it doesn't do it
Yeah.
correctly, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. So like I look at it like that and I kind of come at it in that kind of mindset on top of it being like very, very like fighter like akin. So there's a lot of problems that I have with the game, but I understand it's not necessarily like I don't think it's necessarily bad game design. On there are spots in the game that is very much so bad game design. I think the two people before you fight Sean is incredibly hard, and they are able to like they have their
Rescue.
problems. Like they are able to armor some of their hits, and then other hits have armor, but it's hidden armor, and it's very poorly designed, and that should not be the case.
We've talked about this. Certain enemies just randomly
Yeah.
have super armor, and they just ignore, and there's no readability to it. They just have it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's terrible. But I
They
feel
need to
like
do some bug fixes because I've gotten stuck in that room a few times where the door won't open after I beat them.
right. I think when it comes down to it, like I like Sifu. I think it's a good game. I don't know if it's gonna be on my top 5 list, depending on how 4 and 5 ekes out. Like right now, stage 3, that boss is my wall. Like I watched someone fight or play the game, and the way that they play was completely different from the way that I play. And I was like, I didn't even really know you could do that. Like they were doing their combos half the speed that I was doing my combos, and they fought the boss by doing chip damage. And I'm like, that's not how I want to do this. And like, if I have to do it, then so be it. But that also feels bad.
I think there is an element of this game that is, I'm not going to say hampered or weighed down, but it's so beholden to the fact that this is a kung fu game. And a lot of the games that you guys are bringing up in comparison to it are games where you have like, yes, you can get weapons in this game, but like they're weapon centered games. And this is very much so coming from a perspective of hand to hand combat and the way that them as martial artists, because I remember hearing that like several of the people who made this game are martial artists. That's where they're coming from. And so for better and for worse, that kind of adherence to that grounded nature of martial arts hand-to-hand combat has made the game frustrating for us who play the game a certain way. I think I'd compare this game to kind of what's the Kenna, where it's they both take certain elements from, I guess, the Souls-esque game genre, but it's their first. They both feel like solid first tries that can be improved upon over time if they so choose to continue with that style of game. But I think on the ground floor, they're good tries.
Yeah, I ultimately really like the game. I just am like we were talking about this off camera, but like I have a thing where I'm super into a game, I no life it, and like that's all I want to do. All I want to play. I was going to no life this game until I hit the wall, and I was like, most of my interest is gone, and now I only play it sparingly when I feel like punishing myself. But to make that point about what you're talking about with chip damage, that's the thing with Sekiro, a game that I am 75% of the way through. I only stopped because I got to a really hard boss fight and I had other shit going on. But like in Sekiro, the way the sort of the structure meter works is that the more damage you do to someone, the higher their structure meter will build, and the quicker it will be, and the slower it will be to reduce. So in Sekiro, doing damage and doing posture are like hand in hand together to like deal with bosses. Well, in this game, as far as I can tell, you can do as much damage as you want to a person, but that's not going to have any real effect to their structure. I can't even really tell what
the heavy attacks. The heavy attacks affect the structure more than the light attacks. Like when I was playing the game originally, I was using a lot of light attacks, and I was having the problem of.
And then, as far as I can tell, certain characters have like different length structure bars, and it's not really communicated well. So like. What a certain character, I'll be able to bump, instant finisher, and then this other character, I'll do the bump, and I got like maybe this muscular structure, and I'm like, okay, there's some readability I need here to communicate the difference between these characters.
It's just that the way that I look at it, again, like there's a readability problem with the game, and those characters that have the longer health bars, they are more likely to become the like charged up like mini boss characters. So you have to watch out for those characters. But again, like the game doesn't tell you that. You have to have experience with the game and learn it essentially.
Yeah, but I literally all I want to do. I haven't had like we've been talking about Sifu in our like fucking like Discord channel, and like I've been mulding about it for a while now. And this is sort of like the first avenue I've had to really concretely say my feelings about this game. So I'm apologizing this is going a bit long, but in that regards to that type of characters, you will sometimes meet characters who are already in I guess Ultra
Hard
Instinct
state.
mode before you even do anything to trigger it, and they will still go down and bump bump bump. So like the readability of like different characters and their different things, I have a genuine issue with.
Mm. Okay.
I think
Oh, go ahead.
my last point, I guess, for this game is, and my biggest issue with said game is they just need a better training mode. Like one of the coolest things about Devil May Cry 5, because we were talking about Devil May Cry 3 earlier, is that you can go into the training mode and you can select the type of enemy that you're going to fight, what type of, you know, are they aggro or not, and you can really test out things against different type of enemies and whatnot. Whereas this, it's like you fight the one thug, and even when it's on aggro mode, it just kind of does one chain and that's it. And so I don't feel like I'm actually learning how to play this game. It's like, all right, I guess I got to do it on the fly and then get worked out and end up 74 years old and dead. You know,
Right. Yeah, and then
it's I wish that it had a better training module. That's all.
yeah. And just to like add on to that, like the moves themselves, you should be able to, if you unlock a move, you should be able to go to a training mode immediately and learn how to do that move. Like you shouldn't unlock the move and then have to figure out how to do it like on the spot. Like that's
Yeah.
bullshit.
Yeah,
And then on top of that, like the forward square, the crouch punch, like that move, I want to say that move is a hard counter for Sean in particular. Not you, Sean, but the other Sean, the one with the staff. Like that move is you crouch, you dodge a high attack and you punch low or whatever. Like there are moves like that that are very good for particular bosses, but like you don't necessarily know or think about that unless you really sit down and look at the different moves and like kind of figure out like, okay, well, what's a good place for this move? Like when to do this move? And like I will say like that's fun, but also super frustrating in the same way because the game just doesn't tell you. Like that's something that you have to discover. And once you discover, it's like, oh, that's cool. But like until you get to that point, it's just super annoying because you just keep dying to the same two people over and over again. And you have no idea what you're doing wrong other than you just got lucky the first time that you fought them. So yeah, I mean, I again, like I enjoy the game, but there's definitely faults in the game that needs to be looked at. If either it be a update or I don't know, DLC, more content down the line, or they do a sequel. Like this game definitely could be improved on. We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed laughing, complaining, and then ultimately being frustrated over Sifu. We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoy making it. Don't forget to um laugh and rate, I guess. Yeah, whatever. Make sure you hit those like buttons. Make sure you tell your friends about our content, and make sure you always subscribe to Press X to start. Pew pew. I'm trying a new little thing, doing the pew pew.
No,
Yes, that's Kevin Hart.
no,
I don't care.
no.
Yeah,
Live, laugh, love.
live, laugh, and start. Yeah.
All right.
All right. You take care. You have safe. You be safe, and you have a great day, night, and tell your friends about us. We appreciate it.
Uno out.
Peace out.